Hello, Applied English, and happy December 6th. It's kind of crazy to think that we're in our second week of December now, but in these last few weeks of the semester, it's time to start winding down. This is a virtual day, as I'm sure you know. Just like other virtual days, I would encourage you to pause this video if you haven't prayed yet, to say a quick prayer before you start our lesson video. We'll walk through this agenda and vocab definitions after you pray. Alright, I hope you guys have had a chance to pause our video and say a quick prayer for yourself, say a prayer for your learning today, those kinds of things. Two objectives today. One is to define new vocab words. This is something that I will lead you through on this video, as you can tell. The other is for you to write in clean, complete sentences as you do your practice sentences for vocab. This is our last vocabulary set of the semester. Obviously, right now you're watching our House on Mango Street vocab definitions video. I will lead you through the 10 words and their definitions in just a moment here. The practice sentences will be on your own. Another little homework reminder for you besides your practice sentences. Don't forget that I assigned a couple of chapters of House on Mango Street just to read for tomorrow. Check your Schoology messages. I sent a message to you, I think yesterday, just to give you a reminder of which chapters to read. That will prepare you for our activities in class tomorrow. So take a look at that message, just if you need a reminder on which chapters to read. Speaking of chapters to read, just while we're on that topic, I did put the full text for House on Mango Street here at the bottom of today's lesson folder. That's where you can read the chapters that you need. I think it's just 2 chapters. I may have had 2 classes need to finish off. Gill's Furniture, Bought and Sold. But for the most part, everyone's reading Louis, his cousin, and his other cousin, and Marine. HOMS vocab definitions. Let's take a look at that real quick. This is the video that you're watching now. Please watch this video to work through definitions for our new vocab set. I am going to be using Merriam-Webster Dictionary just for the sake of consistency, so I'll open that up. And you can follow along with me in your vocabulary set by clicking right here. This will enable you to open up your document and fill in your own definitions and practice sentences. I'll be doing this on Microsoft Word. And here we are. So I went ahead and blew this up a little bit so you can read it a little bit more clearly. This vocabulary set covers the entire span of House on Mango Street, at least the chapters that we will be reading. Normally we would do 2 vocab sets for House on Mango Street, but that's in a longer unit. So I had to cut it down to 10 words instead of 20. These are words that are good to know as we read House on Mango Street. Some of these are words we've already seen, but most of them are words that are ahead for us. Let me read these words aloud. We'll see if we can place any of these without using a dictionary. We have temporary, inherit, marimba, pleated, tortilla, not tortilla, tortilla, double L makes a Y sound in Spanish, porcelain, ashamed, trudge, strut, and ignition. And as we look at parts of speech, it looks like I have 1, 2, 3 adjectives, 1, 2, 3, 4 nouns, and that would leave 3 verbs as well. There are no adverbs on this list. And I'm just thinking here a little bit, I'm going to see if I can maybe place 2 of these words without using a dictionary. Tortilla, I hope, is an obvious one for a lot of you. It's a type of food. I do see that number 2, a noun, a round, thin bread, usually made of flour or corn. That's going to be a tortilla. There we go. And it's a good practice to highlight or cross out just any words that you use so you don't accidentally use them again. It is a matching activity, after all. Are there any others I can place? So now I have 3 adjectives, 3 nouns, and 3 verbs. Are there maybe any words that I know by part of speech? Let's say I know that ashamed is an adjective. I would use that to describe a person. Let me check my adjectives. For a short, limited time, no. Neatly folded, no. Embarrassed or humiliated about something is going to be ashamed. By taking out 2 words now, that does give me fewer definitions to look up on Merriam-Webster. So now I'm just going to go down the line, starting with temporary. Temporary. Lasting for a limited time. It's an adjective. Got it? And it's the very first one. Temporary. We saw temporary in Chapter 1 of House on Mango Street. describing the amount of time that Esperanza's parents think that they'll be in their new house. Esperanza knows that it's not going to be for a temporary time. They are stuck there. Inherit is next. It is a verb. To receive from an ancestor as a right or title. To receive as a devise or legacy. To receive as if from an ancestor. To come into possession or receive. Let's see which of my verbs matches that the most. To come into possession of something. It's right towards the top. You got lucky on which of these come near the top. We saw inherit already several times in House on Mango Street. Well, I think we'll see it a few more as well. It's one of the more common verbs in the story. Next up is marimba. A xylophone of southern Africa. It's a noun. With resonators beneath each bar, a modern form of this instrument. So whichever one of our nouns is an instrument will be this one. A wooden instrument. There it is. We got lucky again. Marimba. Go. Pleated. So pleat is a verb right here. We also have it as a noun. So this one's a little bit tricky. It says to fold, or a fold in a cloth right there. Let's maybe save pleated for later, because it's giving us some trouble parts of speech-wise. This might be a good way to practice our matching skills and use our hardest one for last. Let's move on to porcelain. Porcelain is a noun. A hard, fine-grained, sonorous, non-porous, usually translucent and white ceramic ware that consists especially of kaolin. That's a really specific definition right there. I do see the word ceramic in there, and I think I remember seeing a definition that used that word. Let's just see if they match. A white ceramic used for bathroom appliances. Our only other noun is the part of a car that starts the engine. This one is certainly porcelain. Porcelain is usually what things like bathtubs are lined with or made completely out of. Toilets are made out of porcelain. A lot of bathroom sinks and vanities are made out of porcelain. They use it not just because it's pretty, but because it's smooth and easy to clean. Porcelain. I should say, like things like dishes can be made out of porcelain as well. Maybe if your parents or grandparents have like a set of china in their house, it's very possible that those are made out of porcelain. Like a very fine, nicely made porcelain at home. 3 words left. Trudge, strut, and ignition. Let's do trudge next. Trudge is a verb. To walk or march steadily and laboriously. To trudge along or over. Doesn't help using the word in its definition. I should have 2 verbs. To walk slowly and heavily or to walk proudly. So it looks like I have 2 verbs that are pretty similar. I'm just going to check the other one just to make sure. I believe the other one was strut. Strut is to walk proudly, as it says. So we have to be careful with things like trudge and strut. They are very similar verbs. Be careful with them on your quiz next Friday especially. To strut is to walk proudly, so you kind of walk with this maybe confident vibe about it, if that makes sense, an aura of confidence about yourself. To trudge is to walk slowly and heavily. So it might say something like, Mr. Hantak trudged up the stairs when his mom sent him to his room, or something like that. I would have walked slowly and heavily. I was upset. I'm unhappy. Mr. Hantak strutted down the aisle after he kissed his wife at his wedding. Right, I was very proud in that moment and strutted my stuff down the aisle back into the lobby of the church. We only have 2 words left. It's ignition and pleated, and we'll double check our definitions. One's an adjective, neatly folded. The other is a noun, the part of a car that starts the engine. I hope it's obvious to you, but for the sake of being thorough, let's look up ignition. The device that's used to ignite the fuel mixture in an engine. And then the action of igniting, like starting something on fire. That is why it's called the ignition in your car. But the ignition, as we see in our definition, is the part of the car that starts the engine. Ignition. So all that leaves left for neatly folded is pleated. The reason why we didn't see a clean definition for pleated is just because pleat would be its verb form, pleated, ed, would be its adjective form. So you would use pleated to describe something that has been neatly folded, or that has been creased up, maybe crinkled, if that makes sense as well. All that leaves left for you guys are your practice sentences. So a little reminder, just as we look through these words, I'll see if I can give you some pointers on them. Otherwise, these are on you, and I'll get to grade these throughout the week. I'll leave comments on this for the sake of studying for your House on Mango Street quiz next Friday. Temporary, once again, is an adjective. Use that to describe something that only lasts for a short time. Inherit was a verb. Did it have two definitions? And more or less means to come into possession of something. It could be coming into possession of something because someone passes it down to you, or it could be inheriting something genetically. So for instance, I inherited my brown hair from my father, who also has brown hair. Marimba is a type of instrument. Remember to use pleated as an adjective to describe something that looks neatly folded. Tortilla and porcelain are both nouns, those should be easy. Ashamed we would usually use to describe a person who feels embarrassed or humiliated by something. Strut and trudge are both verbs. I would use those to describe how something is moving. And ignition is specifically part of a car, so just keep that in mind as you're writing your sentence for ignition. Take your time as you write your own complete sentences, your practice sentences here. Don't forget to hit the submit button once you're done with this assignment. And then keep an eye out for my feedback after I get these graded later this week. This is a good study material for you for your House on Mango Street quiz. And one last little reminder in closing, don't forget to read those couple of chapters for House on Mango Street to prepare for tomorrow's lesson. Once again, for all of you, you will need to read Louis, his cousin, and his other cousin, and Marine. Those two chapters follow each other up. I do have some classes that still need to do Gill's Furniture Bought and Sold, so be sure to do that too if you are not caught up in reading. We'll discuss those chapters first thing tomorrow. Later.